in October of 1982. For friends who lived in a small town had a plan for Halloween night. There was an abandoned farmhouse outside the town, and they decided to spend a night there. Near the farmhouse, there was an old well, and the townspeople said it was cursed. Anyone who approached or drank from the well would suffer terrible consequences. The friends arrived at the farmhouse and dropped their bags and started to explore the place. The inside of the house was dusty and dark. There were old paintings on the walls, blood stains on the furniture. One of the friends, Tom, had researched the history of the house and told them that the family who lived there had died. Mysteriously, the father of the family had gone mad while fetching water from the well and killed his wife and 2 children. Then he hanged himself. Another friend, Lisa, was very scared by this story and wanted to go back home, but the others persuaded her and continued to stay there for the night. They lit a fire in the living room and brought food, drinks, and music after having some fun. One of the friends, Mike, suggested to play a game of dare. The rules were as follows. Everyone would take turns to go to the well and bring back a bucket of water and drink it. Whoever chickened out or failed would get a penalty. Mike started the game and went to the well. His friends watched him from the window. Mike reached the well and pulled the rope and lowered the bucket. After a while, he pulled it back and drank the water. Then he returned to the house and challenged his friends. It was Lisa's turn. Lisa was very reluctant, but she couldn't stand Mike's taunts and walked towards the well. She reached the well and grabbed the rope and lowered the bucket, but the rope suddenly snapped and the bucket disappeared. Lisa was terrified and started to scream. Her friends heard her voice and ran to her. They found her lying on the ground, shaking. Her eyes were wide open with fear and foam was coming out of her mouth. They asked her what happened, but Lisa couldn't answer. She just muttered, "He's here." They carried Lisa to the house and tried to help her, but Lisa's condition got worse and worse. Her body was twitching. Her face was changing. They thought she was having a seizure, but it was actually something much worse. Lisa was possessed by a demon. Lisa pretended to come to herself and smiled at her friends, but her smile was very evil. She asked them, "Do you love me?" They were confused and said yes. Lisa said, "Then come with me," and got up. They followed her, but they didn't know where she was going. Lisa took them to the well. She stopped at the edge of it and said, "There's a secret here. Do you want to see it?" They nodded their heads in fear. Lisa said, "Then come," and jumped into the well. They were shocked and shouted after her, but they didn't hear Lisa's voice. They only heard a laughter coming from the well. They looked for a rope to save Lisa, but they couldn't find one. Then they decided to go back to the house and call for help, but they saw that the phone wasn't working either. They also realized that the electricity was cut off. They were very scared and locked themselves in the house, but they weren't safe there either, because the demon inside Lisa would find them. The demon wandered around the house, hunting his friends one by one. He found Tom first and strangled him. Then he found Mike and stabbed him. Finally, he found Sarah and threw her out of the window. The demon killed his friends and then went to the living room and put out the fire. Then he sat in the dark and waited. In the morning, the sheriff of the town came to the farmhouse. One of the townspeople had seen lights there at night. The sheriff knocked on the door but got no answer. Then he broke into the house. The sheriff saw a horrible scene inside. There were 4 corpses, and they were all covered in blood. The sheriff recognized them and felt very sad. They were children of his town. The sheriff asked for help to collect the corpses and called for a crime scene investigation team. But he couldn't understand how it happened. The sheriff entered into the living room when he heard a voice. There was a girl sitting on a couch looking at him. The girl's face was unrecognizable, and her eyes were bloodshot. The girl smiled at him and said hello. The sheriff realized who she was and felt horrified that she was Lisa. Lisa walked towards him and hugged him. Then she whispered in his ear, "Will you come with me?"